and you may find yourself in a new loan partnership.
Alrighty, welcome everyone. Welcome to once again another great sales success webinar. As always, my name is Alex Nichols. I am your host today, and we have our fantastic sales success team, starting with our director, Tim Rowan, Senior Director. Sorry about that, Tim. I'm missing a part of your title there. We have our wholesale manager, Scott Karch, and we have our wonderful sales associates, Lando Petri and Mike Orlando. So, with that, Tim, what are we going to be doing today? What are we talking about?
You know what? I love it because our little theme intro song now couldn't be any more perfect, right? New lead portal, right? It's time to log in and learn more now. So, literally, Alex, as you know, hot off the presses, there is yet again another enhancement, and we want to demo that for everyone today. And it will be a quick look. And actually, this webinar will be probably shorter than most. However, a couple housekeeping rules, and Alex, keep us honest here. Where do you want people to post questions on the webinar that we will definitely want to get to?
Yes, absolutely. So for those with questions, please post them in the Q&A section itself. We will be getting to that with any questions you may have. So we will be doing a dedicated Q&A section at the end, but post your questions whenever you have them up. Of course, we will be monitoring them during. We will be answering those as we go along via the Q&A, and we will be answering them live once we get to that Q&A section. As always, this is recorded. I get this question a lot. I will be posting these on our YouTube channel. We do have a YouTube channel. You can subscribe, of course, if you want to never miss a video. But with that, I will be sending out an email after the fact that is going to have the links to everything, our YouTube channel, our email, if you ever want to reach out to us, as well as more helpful information when it comes to any of the topics we talk about today.
So as we get ready to navigate through this, and again, we're going to highlight a couple of recent enhancements and spend some time on the one that literally just came hot off the presses, what, Alex, a day or two ago? I
Yeah, it's
think
literally like Monday.
literally, yeah, I mean, literally just so far this week. So it'll be a ton of fun. So Alex, let's dive in. Let's take a look. What do we
With
got?
that, all right, perfect. So, folks, today what we're going to be looking at is we are going to be looking at a new feature called application status. Now, what this is it lives within the details section of Lead Portal. So, this to me is going to be a really good look into where your borrowers are at, not just currently, but what they need to do. So, let me go ahead. What I'm going to do here is pull up my screen. Um, Give me one moment while I go ahead and pull this up for us. There we go. Perfect, perfect. So with this, as I struggle here, I don't know why these tabs are going crazy. Give me one sec to share my screen. I don't want you
Yes,
guys
not a
to see
problem.
my email on the
Yeah,
back
by the
end.
way,
There we
everybody,
go.
you'll remember that the topic for quite some time now has been us finding ways to improve and increase transparency for all of you partners and loan originators. And so this is just one more piece that we've added. So pretty good stuff.
We're a tech company, and I feel like I need to live in the woods sometimes. So here on Lead Portal, what will happen is you are going to have the same information right up top, expiring soon, if there's any conditions, things of that nature. Now, if we go into our pipeline view here on the left-hand side, right, and I do want to show, I got a lot of questions on this is the reason I wanted to show it. You can expand this just so you folks are aware. So this is something where if we dive into our pipeline, what we're going to be able to see is we are going to be able to go into our details with our little action menu on the right-hand side. I'm on a fun little laptop, so it's kind of hidden. But when we go in there, we're going to see this application status bar. Now, with this application status bar, what it's going to tell us is what is going on in the particular status. So if you're looking at this and you're saying, what are they doing and provide more information, right? They're at this application progress saying hard credit consent, all of that. If we click on that, what it's going to tell us is it's going to tell us what the borrower needs to do and what we need to do as a lender, or maybe some of you on the correspondent side, what you need to do, as your company needs to do as a lender. But you can take a look here. So what it's telling us is at this point, the borrower needs to complete the additional, information page and consent to pull a hard credit pull. Pretty simple, right? We could have probably gathered that just from the name of the status, what's going on at the side here. But what it's going to do is it's going to follow a progressive path each time. So as the borrower completes this item, another one's going to appear on the application status, and so on and so forth. Where this is really, really nice to me, and what I'm going to be showing you later is when it gets more granular, when there's more niche situations or things that come up where what happens is you look at this and you go, I don't know what's happening, or I don't know how I can help, or what I need to tell the borrower. One big thing that I've seen in the past, and this comes up a lot, is on the right hand side, right? We have a status called note signing. What note signing is, quite simply, is the borrower just needs to go through and agree to some online documents like the HELOC agreement. However, some of you may have experienced before, that's not all that happens in note signing. There's plenty of times there where the borrower has to accept their final offers before they go to note signing. There are times where it stops the application because we need to verify some information because the system detected some form of discrepancy. Maybe it's minor and we clear it on our side with our operations team. Maybe we need documents, and that's where those conditions come into play where you can help the borrower out. But that's where I've gotten a lot of questions in the past where note signing you see as more of a milestone. I always look at this as like a pizza tracker, if you know the Domino's analogy, where that can encompass a lot of different minor steps into it. So, what this is going to allow you to do is not just go, okay, they're a note signing, let's say, or whatever the status may be. You can now see granularly what does the borrower need to do or what we are doing on the back end through that operations team. So you can know maybe it's a more manual review, maybe this is taking time, or maybe simply your borrower just needs to log in and do something. So this is going to give you a lot of information, really to then guide the borrower to whatever those next steps need to be.
Alex, one of the things I like about this newest feature is obviously we've had I refer to them as the milestone trackers, you call them the pizza trackers, but on the milestones, to your point, you see, oh, they've gone through to offer select, and it's like, okay, well, what does that actually mean? Well, now under the application status, it literally tells you borrower needs to complete the additional information page. So from a loan originator perspective, this gives you the information you need to now make a
Mhm.
proactive call out to your borrower. Hey, I was just taking a look at your file. It looks like you need to log in and continue and do this, consent to this, or you need to log in and complete your income verification and set up your disbursement account. Each one of these progress tabs will also have an application
Mhm.
status definition, if you will, or guidance, maybe is the better way to put it. So I love this. I want to add this much. This is brand new. It is, we love using this term. It is the first iteration of this, right? So, what I'd like to ask is please keep our team um, engaged in this, meaning let us know your feedback. Go in there, use it, see if it's helping you. Report some wins to us if you can, and we'll make sure you have the sales success at figure.com email in the thread. If Mike, maybe you can put that down in the chat or something for everybody. But give us some feedback on it because truthfully, if I go back over even just in particular, I think team, you would agree this last year, meaning 2025 to now, this has been a big emphasis for all of us here, and that is improving the transparency. And so it's all a result of the feedback from all of you on this call and our partners. So keep the feedback coming. We want to hear it. Let us know some wins. We're going to be doing some fun things on that topic off into the future. But, Alex, while we're here, I think this is great application status. But why don't we, if we can, take a couple minutes and at least dive into kind of recapping some of these enhancements, right? Obviously, we're looking at
Mhm.
the milestone in your verbiage, the pizza tracker off to the right. And folks, I was thinking about it last night, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be fun to maybe at some point, you'd have to do this minute, Alex, but wouldn't it be fun at some point to go back a year ago and take a screenshot of what the lead portal used to look like? Compared to what it looks like today, right? Because I think we would all agree it's come a long way. And actually, Lando, I know you're not. Lando, by the way, everybody is not feeling well. So the fact that he's on the call, we appreciate. But Lando, I'm going to pick on you here for a second because you, prior to working on our team, actually were engaged with one of our partners in sales leadership there. And I'd ask you to comment based on what you know from way back when you were using Lead Portal from
Yeah.
an originator sales manager perspective to today. What's your take on that?
I mean, I think that it's much more self-sourced and visible, right? There's better visibility, right? Before it was a lot of emails, kind of who's on first is how you felt sometimes, not always knowing it. Where now, you can get in, find the information, understand the process, and speak to it and drive your client a lot easier than what I think it was, a year and a half or 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. Scott, how about you? Because you came very much to us in the same realm. And so Scott, by the way, everybody, he actually goes way back with us as a user and sales manager in regards to Figure prior to coming to work for us. So Scott, I'd love your feedback as well.
Yeah, the visibility now is huge. My prior company, I sort of ran point on brokered loans. I got 1,000 questions like, where is it? What do I do next? What do I do? I'm like, and you try to give them the guidance, reach out to customer service, etc. Have your borrower use the chat feature. Well, now you have the answers. May not be all the answers still, it's still a work in progress, as we grow, but it's way better. It's 75% to 80%, what's going on now versus, 10%. I know what's going on.
Yeah,
So
no, I love that feedback, and again, we want to continue the feedback from all of our partners. So please keep the feedback coming. And Alex, why don't we take a minute and just kind of again recap it? We looked at the pizza tracker in what you call it, but let's recap everybody. Remember, and we might have talked about it on one of our most recent webinars, and that is the new notes section. And this has been actually a major impact. So I don't know if you can bring up a sample of that.
Yep. No, don't worry, I got a whole plan. So that's a big thing here is again, feedback. So what we want to show here is everything we've added. And I do want to talk about some additional things we've added recently as well that came from feedback for you all. And that comes into play both with that new application status and the conditions. So what we're going to look at is we are going to look at another application I have in the funnel. This is a borrower going through. They're at the income verification portion. So with this, we can number one, see there are conditions needed, which if we go way back in the day, conditions never used to exist. So that if we're going back there, that was something that was added. And I'm going to talk about that in a second as something we've recently added. But with the thing here, right, we can comb down, we can take a look at, what's going on in the file. But if we scroll down even more, what we're going to see, and this is really important, I think, to me. I've been here 6 years now, and this is a big thing I think was probably the biggest thing we've ever added is the note section on the right-hand side. This is going to give you notes about everything our operations team is doing, including automated emails sent to your borrower from our system. Now, keep in mind, as you can see at the top left, this is a test application, right? I don't have a real borrower. I'm too busy helping you all. But the big thing here is the fact that it is going to let you know all the notes on the file, including things pulled from our system. And again, if our operations team is doing things, they'll put their own notes. So this is a long kind of rambly thing. I don't need to explain the full thing to you, but in this situation, what the system's doing is it's saying, hey, Alex, this test person you put in doesn't match the real person who owns the property that you put it in for. So this would be something where if our operations team saw that the name was incorrect, they would check on their end, see if, it was be something, maybe it's minor that we can correct on our side. Maybe we need an AKA marriage cert. Maybe it is something where maybe we need a recent deed, right? We have a 90-day seasoning. I've seen that happen before. But this is where you can track everything our operations team is doing so that when there are things like conditions, not only you're going to see what the conditions are, you can see what our operations team is doing and what kind of notes they're putting on the file with that kind of information. As well as you can see if your borrower calls in, right? Even if you call in, our operations team records that, right? So they're going to put in what those calls are, what that information is. So maybe you can check, oh, my borrower called in, they had questions on this, right? Maybe they're having difficulties on this. I'll reach out to help them. So keep in mind, always come in here and check this new note section. In addition to the note section, there is an audit log. This audit log is going to let you know everyone who took a look at this file, but that is in Lead Portal. Keep that in mind. So our operations team uses their own system on the back end, so it's not going to show you those individuals, but it'll show you maybe it's you, maybe it's a branch manager, someone else, maybe someone on our team taking a look. So you can see any audit logs of anyone that looked at the files. Now, here's the big thing to me. This is what I want to focus on as well, are these conditions, right? And at this point, it's kind of old hat. But the big thing to me is we've gotten a lot of feedback from you all. We've added these conditions. We have received feedback, right? Just like Tim's saying, it's important to us. So if we took a look at this file, I started this today. So this is a brand new file started today. And this is a file for a borrower whose property is held in a trust. This is required where we need a certificate of trust in full for us to complete this application and get them over to notary. Now, before, we would request that certificate of trust at the end of the application flow during that notary preparation step. It would be a manual condition someone in ops would have to put on. But we got a lot of feedback about that, about, more or less you have that ready, right? We give you that advice. You want to submit that ahead of time. So now that condition fires automatically once you select trust at the beginning of that workflow. And since I'm talking about it, right, we have added that whole ownership selection at the beginning of that inquiry process now, as well as the application flow. So no longer are your borrowers selecting what their actual ownership type is. You are now doing that. Quick reminder, we now allow LLCs. This is something we've talked about on a previous webinar, but we do now allow LLCs, but this is something you'll put in. So if you know the property is held in a trust, you can immediately talk to the borrower, talk to them about that certificate of trust, right? Making sure that they have it or you can get it, talk to them. But this is now a condition that you can help them out with. So that at that point, you can then upload it at the beginning of the application, taking care of it for them, getting that out of the way. And then from there, they just have a really quick application process they go through, and then that's reviewed at the end. But with this, you can see all of it. Yeah, Tim, go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna. I
Oh,
have to jump in here and interrupt you. Number one, and I don't know about the balance of the team here, but I just want to recap what you just said and make sure that we're all, including the attendees of the webinar, on the same page here. You're indicating that now, when the loan originator chooses the property is currently vested in a trust, that it will automatically generate this condition?
Correct.
Okay. Lando, Mike, Scott, did you guys hear that? That's huge, everybody. And Alex, you did a great job illustrating that. And I just want to say that for all of you that have used the platform in the past, I want to highlight that this was never a question that the loan originator answered at point of inquiry. This had always been a question that the borrower homeowner answered. It's also a question that we saw regularly answered incorrectly, meaning a borrower automatically thinks, well, I'm married, I must hold vesting joint, only to find out in the 11th hour it's actually in a trust. You, the loan originator, now get to answer that question. So when and if you have the chance, and I don't have a site to send you to or anything, but if you have the ability at the time you're doing the inquiry to pull a property profile and check this on behalf of your borrower, please then check and make the correct selection here. That will be huge. You've all heard us say it before. If you've attended any webinar of ours ever before, we always talk about the importance of setting the expectation of your borrowers. This is a big one. If you can find out how they're vested, you can now choose the answer, and therefore you can set the expectation of the borrower. Hey, we see your property is held in a trust. Can you please be prepared to get the certification of trust and ready to upload? Or they could now send it to you and you could upload it on their behalf. So that is huge. The other thing I just want to tip on there, Alex, is of course you showed that we now will do vesting in LLCs. I just want to be clear, that's on investment properties team. It's not across the board. And it's vesting, not borrowers. It's vesting in an LLC on investment properties. And that is now, we're live with that. So that's huge. I got to tell you, I feel like I just learned something myself there, Alex. So thank you.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Well, it's interesting because just to recap the conditions tab, which we did add some time ago, we get this question a lot. A lot of loan originators will reach out and say, well, can I upload this? Can I upload this? I know it's going to be needed. The truth of the matter is our system's designed where no condition or no request to upload anything would be given to us as originators until which time the borrower attempted it and it did not work. I'll use the example of an ID. That's the most common. If a borrower uploads their ID and it doesn't pass the scan system or whatever that signs off on it, that then becomes a condition on you, the loan originator. You can now assist the borrower with it. So this is the first time ever that I've seen, based on vesting, that a condition is automatically generated based on the way we've answered the vesting question. So that's That's
Mhm.
big, team. I hope you all see that. And again, set that expectation with the borrower as to how to navigate it. And again, it's important that you don't, there's not a bunch of conditions for you to upload because if
Mhm.
we don't just upload things to upload them, if the borrower satisfies it, well, it never does become a condition, so it doesn't matter. It just moves that fast.
Yeah, that's kind of the big thing, right? Is like for we built out that DSCR product, and those have conditions up front always. And so that's kind of where this tech is coming from. Realistically, what we call the happy path on the HELOC is the borrower goes to the app, we do a notary prep, get them over to notary. So conditions are that manual addition. So when they were first added, we literally had to click buttons on our end to add them. So this to me, yeah, is really big. And a helpful tip from Alex is the borrower still has to put in the name of the trust.
Sure.
Make sure they put in the name of the trust as it matches on the certificate of trust, or you're all going to have a real bad time. So make sure to give them guidance on that so it's a really quick process.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And Alex, if we can, by the
Mhm.
way, this was another huge enhancement. Just to recap it, I know we've talked about it in the past, but if we can just bring up and make sure that everyone on the webinar here knows how to get to our resource center. Um,
Absolutely.
it's
So,
big, team, because as Alex is bringing this up, I'll remind you all, especially that have been working with us for several years, that historically we used to provide to our partners a Google Drive link.
mm,
And Mr. Alex here was constantly updating said Google Drive. However, it now lives in the lead portal, and yes, Alex still keeps it updated, and it's all date stamped as to most recent updates and that type of thing. But Alex, if we can just demonstrate where everyone can go and find the resource center, would be great.
absolutely. So let me go ahead. I'm sharing my screen again. So, just to give the example here, this is really why I wanted to pull this up. You have a borrower, they're in income verification, right? You've put in, say, $200,000 as the example, but they've only verified 7,000. And you want to talk to the borrower about income verification, verifying more income, but you want to understand the process better before you call up the borrower and talk to them. So I have my resource center here on Lead Portal. As Tim said, this is fully run by me. I add everything in. And again, we all accept feedback. I love feedback on this. But when you click on this, it's going to give you different folders. Now, I'm in a fun little test environment. I'm going to have more folders than you. But the big one you want to look at is for the different products. So for this, right, we have a HELOC product. We're going to click on the HELOC folder. That's going to take us into the HELOC Resource Center. First and foremost, big thing here, and I know, Tim, you love talking about this, is going to be our consumer-facing demo video. This is a 3-minute long video, not very long, of what the borrower goes through. So not only can you watch that just to see the experience, but you can also download it. You can download all these files, but you can download this video, send it directly to the borrower before they even begin. To be like, hey, watch this real quick before you even start the process. So just know this is here. It is a very good kind of tool to help the borrower get started. But back to our example, right? We have a borrower and income verification. You want to learn about income verification? I have a full folder for income verification. So you click on that income verification folder. I have demo videos about every single type of income verification method. And these are literally, I don't know, a minute long. I think it's only like 50 seconds for each one of these. So you can watch through. They're going to tell you exactly how these different types of income verification models work. But more importantly to me, right, is I'm going to have different actual docs down here at the bottom, losing my words. The big one, income verification overview, that's going to tell you everything about income verification. So this is something where you can download it. I'll kind of expand it out here. They're all PDFs, right? So if you have something, that can read through, but it'll tell you every single type, how things work, requirements, information about, maybe spousal income states, if you want to include spouses, right? Because again, we don't pull credit for spouses. We can include their income in all these states. So it's a really good thing to know, especially when it comes down to more granular things. So I keep this up to date. I add all this information. And you may have noticed too, back there, I had that business income calculation little documentation. This is really just letting you know the process for linking business bank accounts. We're not going to give you the full calcs, but we'll let you know exactly how it's going to work for your borrower to link it and what we're looking for. Now that's on income verification, right? So if you want to learn more about this product and this process, I have documents about everything you can imagine. The big document I do like to show is the product guide. The product guide is our main document. This is something to review because it's going to tell you everything when it comes to eligibility, state requirements, all that information and more. So you can read through here. I think we had 8,000 people access this in the last 30 days, and I'm going to try to bump that number up. So this is really something where I'm adding to, but we have documents about every little thing you may want to know, direct debt payoff. Maybe there's a whole, we want to review the actual stages of the application, right? So I have a whole folder for that. So if you're wanting to learn something, start here. Watch a video or read a doc, and then from there, that's where our team comes into play, and we can help you better learn the product and the process.
You know, Alex, you mentioned it. I always like talking about it a little bit, but listen, I want to encourage everybody. That consumer application video that you'll find in the Resource Center HELOC tab, just like Alex showed, please take the 3 minutes and watch it. Again, this goes back to expectation, and the more you can familiarize yourself with what your borrower's experience is going to be, the better off you will be. So just please watch it a couple times if that's what it takes, but familiarize yourself with the borrower's workflow, and then you'll be able to better navigate any questions they may have as the borrower gets started. So I love this. I love the fact that the Resource Center is living in there. And now I want to pick on Mike for just a second. Mike regularly meets with a lot of our partners, white label partners in particular. And Mike, I know you've recently had some very larger sales team meetings, if you will, of these things that we're showing these enhancements and rolling these out. What kind of feedback have you been getting so far from our partners?
Yeah, so a lot of times when we bring them up, it's brand new. But then I hear back, and it's just, I think what's great is and we've talked about it, the increased transparency, right? I think it's in our nature, and certainly in our partners' nature to really want to know what's happening, especially when their borrower has questions. The last thing they want is to kind of be left in the dark a little bit. So I think the more that we're rolling out for that transparency sake is perfect. And just for transparency purposes, and just give a little context for what's happening here. Back when Figure started a few 8 years ago, I guess now, right? We didn't have loan officer partners. It was all direct to consumer, right? So that's kind of how the engine's been built. It's all kind of been flipped on its head in the meantime. So that's why we're taking your feedback, as our LO partners, and trying our best to get this kind of going, so you guys get a little bit more insight to how the process works.
Yeah,
But
no worries.
it's been extremely positive so far.
Yeah, and I know Scott and Lando, you both in particular, and Scott, you and I just talked about this regarding a recent meeting you had as well, and that is, what we're trying to the point we really want to drive home here, folks, is I get it, I understand the industry, so does the team here. We understand that a loan originator may want to just send an email or make a phone call and say, what's going on with my file? I get it. That's business as usual. What I want to encourage everyone to do, and Scott, I think you're leaning on this topic as well very heavily right now, and that is before you make said phone call, before you send an email either to your internal team or ours, please take a few minutes and log into the lead portal. Scott, would you say that checking the notes has probably been the biggest win right now?
Oh, it's the hugest. I actually email the partner back and say, here's what I see in notes. We see what you see. We see what you see. Right. So you emailing me, I go into the file. I'm happy to share it with you. Check the notes. It's now, if you don't understand the notes, that's another story. We'll jump in, we'll help you there. We'll give you clarity. But for the most part, it says loan officer called in. We're in the process of reviewing. We emailed the borrower. It's telling you exactly what's going on. On the reverse side of it, Tim, I think it's important to mention, and Alex, when you're going through the inquiry, have the borrower on the phone. Don't guess. Don't
Yeah.
guess that it's joint. Don't guess that it's in an LLC. Don't guess that it's in a trust. Go review the products with the borrower. That's the intent. That's why the inquiry system was built. So you could get the borrower on the phone, consumer facing, walk them through it. It'll save you a lot of headaches in the end. Got a loan right now. They put it in as joint, and it's in a trust, right? So we got all the way to the end. It's caught now, and it just adds an inconvenience. We'll fix it. It'll be fine. You just create a bad experience for the borrower, right? And you want to keep it smooth. Talk to them up front. Know what's going on, so you can actually jump in and help the borrower when needed.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. And by the way, just a little bit to make sure everyone's aware that's on the call. The sales success team, everyone you see on your screen here, we very much love doing office meetings, sales meetings. We will do, of course, one-on-ones and help people with their first couple of inquiries where we need to. But our objective is really to go from a meeting of one to a meeting of many. And so don't hesitate to reach out to the team for that. We have the resources to jump onto your existing sales calls, talk tips, tricks, best practices, highlight some of these things. We can have a sync call ahead of time to discover, is there any one particular topic you want us to spend some time diving into? I got to say, and I'm really proud of the entire team. I think we're making a difference there. How's that? In regards to that type of engagement. So, Mike, do we have some questions going on here? I haven't really looked at the chat much.
We do, yeah. And actually, just to kind of hop on something that Scott said there, with the note section, right? There's a question from Tom Meacham, I think is a good segue there. He said the notes section is great, but the reps use a lot of abbreviations and acronyms. It would be great to have something that we can use to understand all those abbreviations. And it's funny, Alex, I think I just asked you about that like earlier this week, late last week, or something like that, because there was something in there that I didn't know what it was. So yeah, I
That's
mean,
that's really good, Mike. That's really good. I'm gonna take this back. Let me see where I can fit that in. I'll fit that somewhere in the resource center for you.
But by the way, it's a great point. And Mike, thank you for bringing it up, and thank you for the question here. But I think what's interesting is, and I think everybody that works with us probably gets this, but the reality is the folks in Figure and the CSAs and the engineers and the product, they don't talk LO, folks. And so some of the acronyms they use, even myself, I go, wait, what was that? Now I've been here long enough to learn. Scott and Lando, I don't know if you've run into the same thing, but it's yeah. So Alex, that'd be a great idea if we could come up with a figure, list
I'll
type of
I'll
thing.
make a like a figures like type of doc
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
All
I
right,
think that'd
I'll
be
I'll
really
put it
good.
on the docket.
a decoder ring or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be great. All right, Mike, hit us with some questions. What do we got?
Yeah, yeah. All right. So the first one is hello and thanks for the session today. Are there any EPO changes, or I'm sorry, charges if a borrower sells their home within 3 months of opening a figure HELOC?
The answer is yes, and there is a way to deal with this, but as a general rule, um, EPO is if a borrower pays back 90% or more in the first 16 weeks, so think 4 months, then that would trigger EPO. To be clear, there is never any harm or foul to the borrower. In this instance, the EPO is simply a compensation clawback. Now, I said there's a workaround for this, and that is you can, when you run the inquiry, if you know that's going to happen, you can select yes when the question is asked, is property listed for sale? Now, it's going to limit some of your offers potentially. It's going to set a fixed OFI rate of 299 or higher, but it will waive any EPO, and it also can have an impact on compensation, which you'd have to check internally with your own team to find out how that's. But that's how you could get away from EPO if you know that's the concern.
Do LOs have a link that we can send to clients to apply or that can be used to promote on social media?
It's going to depend on the partnership with us. We have several different paths, but the white label correspondent partners, I'll say, they do have a direct link, and the wholesale do not. And by the way, that's a compliance thing, everybody. In the wholesale world, loan originators, in order to receive compensation, have to do a minimum of 5 things on a file, and that direct link won't work for that. So it just depends on who you're partnered up with, who you're working with. So if you want to reach out to the team, we can help navigate that for you. And interestingly enough, it is a great way. I love the question, social media. It's a great way to attract brand new clients. The inquiry tool, however, still remains to be the highest level of pull through we see. So don't shy away from the inquiry tool. I understand the question, but don't shy away from that at all.
Tim, one idea with that for our brokers that don't have the direct link is create a QR code that goes to a smart sheet where it fills out, they put in the 5 pieces of information you need to fill out an application, right? The address, the date of birth, their name. We're not getting their social or any of that stuff, their income. You can put that out on social media, make one with QR code monkey, share it on business cards. It's a great way if you're trying to publicize that on social media that you can circumvent, still get what you need, and get that out there to the masses. I've seen a lot of people have a lot of great success with it.
Yeah, it's a great point. And then you've got the information that you need to go in and yourself complete the inquiry.
Correct.
That's a great call.
Laura Garcia says, I have a client that applied and was approved last week for a HELOC, but had to cancel it because her name was misspelled, didn't match the driver's license. She reapplied yesterday and there were no options for the HELOC. How did that happen if nothing changed?
Very interesting, Laura. I'd want to dive into that file with you. So, unless anyone else had any different team or know the file she happens to be talking about, but um, reach out to us, please, Laura, on that. I'd be very curious. That should not have happened. By the way, it does drive the point home. When you're running an inquiry, please ask the borrower, how is your name on your driver's license? And you're going to want to make sure to do it that way, to prevent that problem from coming up.
We see conditions. However, it would be great to see if a condition had been cleared.
Mr. Eric, you are spot on, 100% correct, and that is being worked on as we speak. I've also noticed that, and team, I'm sure you have as well, where we actually can see behind the scenes, and ID again being the example, looks like it cleared, but it still is showing as a pending review condition in Lead Portal. So that is being worked on. So we'll get there. Thank you, Eric, for that.
All right, Ross says, Alex, you killed it with putting together the resource center. I've pushed our team to use it regularly. No questions. I just wanted to make sure that was set out.
Okay,
Well, thank
first of
you.
all,
That's very nice
Ross
of
is
you.
Ross is the man, by the way. So thanks for attending, Ross. We love having you, my friend.
Yeah.
All right, Shane. Yeah, Shane asks, when using the VOI examples and the resource guide, how do we know which VOI was used for our specific loan?
Ooh, that's a great question. Go ahead, Alex. You're muted.
Sorry, I'm swapping around 1,000 things right now. So for VOI specifically, it's going to tell you in the details of the lead portal itself. I'm trying to pull up an example here really quick. So let me show you here. This was this little test file I made for income verification. So what I did in here is I linked up a Wells Fargo account. So I linked up through Wells Fargo. It failed more or less because I only verified 7,000. And it is just the way it's built into the system. So what you can see here is final income verification method used. This is for income verification. So we used Plaid. So Plaid goes through specifically for like bank accounts, bank personal, business bank accounts, that kind of thing. We use other things though. So we use a system called like Pointser for taxes. We can do like manual pay stubs, right? We can do things like asset accounts. So this is not going to fully tell you like, hey, Alex went in and linked a Wells Fargo account, but it will tell you what kind of method they used, what kind of, system they linked up with. It's been kind of on my mind to put in more information in the documents on this, but quite simply, if you do or your borrower does have any questions, I usually just say contact the operations team because they can dive in a lot deeper to say the borrower linked this, this is the account being used, so on and so forth.
By the way, on that topic, if in this example, if you log in, you look at the details, you see, oh, they used Plaid, meaning they connected to their bank accounts and didn't verify enough income. You could advise the borrower and have a conversation with them as to what other paths they would like to do. Do they want to link their tax transcripts? Do they want to upload pay stubs, award letters? Those are the two. Remember, those are the two physical documents we'll review for income verification. And they may even have the opportunity to link directly to their payroll provider, almost like a true VOE. Now, here's the beauty. Your borrower could literally use every income verification method available in our system, and we will default to whichever verified the most. I want everyone to think about what I just said there because that is completely opposite of the traditional loan world. We all know that if I'm doing a regular traditional loan, and I provide tax returns that show less income than, you know what I mean? I've got to live with that, whether I'm using it or not. So in our system, we will default to whichever highest amount of income we verified is.
Any indication of figure moving back to the 5-day DSCR?
So we did just roll out DSCR. We've got, Scott, roughly 40 of our wholesale partners that have launched and active with it. And I will tell you, much like our HELOC 4 years ago when we first launched it to partners, we're learning a lot, and it's by no stretch perfect. So I want to set the expectation there. However, I am happy to report that it is about to again get a lot better this month. So keep an eye on things like webinars. We'll be screaming these things from the rooftops. But in theory, we're looking that the HELOC is not going to be held to any 5-day. We think we can do it much faster. So we're making some tweaks on it. And just to be clear, on the DSCR, it's not a HELOC. It is a first lien position, either rate and term or cash out transaction, one or the other. But it's a fixed loan DSCR on investment property, obviously. So we are working on improving and enhancing it. But ultimately, when we get this worked out, I think it'll be a lot faster than 5 days.
All right. A little clarification on the EPO. So the question is like, does it just apply to home sale? We mentioned that it's paid if it's paid down 90% or more, they can pay back initial draw at closing, but keep the account open with that account against them. So can we like clarify the difference between how the EPO applies and then also how that relates to when we list the home as being for sale? So it's not like specific to that, but
Yeah, no,
let's
it's
feed
it's
into it a little
it's a
bit.
great question. I don't mind clarifying that at all. So just to be clear, EPL policy as it stands is if a borrower pays 90% or more in that first 4 months, that's going to trigger EPO. But let's say a borrower got a $100,000 line, it's a full draw at close, as we all know, and they paid back 50,000. That would not trigger EPO. Okay? It's only if they pay back 90% or more. Now, if you have a situation, which came to the earlier question, and you know the borrower is going to sell their home in the next 90 days within that EPO period, meaning they're going to sell it, pay off that HELOC, and close the account, then it's going to be paid off 100%, not just 90, it's going to be paid off 100%. You would want to, at the point of that inquiry, choose listed for sale, yes. Because when you choose that, whether the home's actually listed for sale at that moment or not, what you're actually identifying is that it's going to be early payoff. And so as a result, comp is greatly reduced. The O fee becomes a set amount. You get capped at CLTV. I believe it's 80. Alex, keep me honest on that. I think on listed for sale.
Correct.
There's also some state O fee caps that could cause problems. As an example, I'm just going to pick one. I think it's Tennessee has a 199 O fee cap. And as an example, it wouldn't give you offers because the minimum O fee on a listed for sale scenario is 299. So just trying to find some ways to navigate around that. But yeah, hopefully that clarifies that for you, John.
I love this question. Will there ever be a chat bot option or a chat box option in the future? I'm saying for LOs.
Yes, we do believe. I'll just share with you all. We are actually working on that and trying to proof a concept here, if you will, to see if it will work. That's the type of thing that leads to a scalable concern. In other words, can it be done and can we do it at scale? And so we're playing with that. It's on the build, if you will, with no set time or commitment to that, but we are trying to go down that path.
Right. Are these sessions recorded if you registered in Can 10?
Yes, absolutely. So these sessions are recorded. I'm going to put the recordings on our YouTube channel once I'm done processing them. And you know what? I will get the link real quick and I'll put it in the chat. I'll also send out an email, folks, by the way, with a link to everything.
All right. Danny asks an interesting question. What are the points to highlight when we have a borrower asking about loan versus a HELOC?
And actually, are they asking about HELOAN or are they asking about HEI?
HEI, I'm sorry, I misread that.
Yeah. So
Thought that was an
Scott,
L.
Lando, do either of you have a take on this?
Not really. I mean, HE.
I'm going to take a look real quick. I think the HEI is going to price considerably higher, but that's
Yeah.
my gut feeling. But I'm going to take a look at something real quick and see if I can talk about it. And Yeah, the one thing I would be concerned if it again, one loan officer to a bunch of other loan officers, I think the one thing that I would be concerned about there is sharing my home's future equity position.
Right.
And that's what's really happening there. And I can't speak to the terms, actual loan terms of an HEI loan, but that's really what you're doing on that, is basically sharing forward value or forward equity with the lender in that case. So ours is, yes, it is a HELOC, but it's interesting because um, it's a HE loan in the sense that it's fixed and fully amortizing. A lot of you do have ARMs you can choose from as well, but widely used is the fixed and fully amortizing. Um, and there is no equity share on that, right? So it's, I mean, it's kind of what you see, what you get. And then it looks and feels like a HELOC because we have the redraw feature on the back end of it, depending on the term they choose.
When will the loan officer assistants be able to call in?
I love this question, and by the way, the answer is now. However, we have to set that up actually at the org level. With you, Tran is asking the question, and so please again reach out to our team. We do have the ability, and not every one of our partners turns it on, and they all have their own reasons for this, but we do have the ability now to add LOA personas to the lead portal. And Alex, do you have any commentary on that as far as, but I do believe the way it was built is if they do want to choose adding the LOA personas, that said LOA can call in on behalf of the file. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. Yes, correct. So anyone who is an LOA in the lead portal system has the ability to call on behalf of their LO on their particular files.
All right. And further EPO clarification, when does the 16-week start? Is it from the date of the close, the date
Date
of
of close.
funding? What is the date there?
It's the date of funding. Yeah. That's also what establishes the first payment date, by the way, different from traditional mortgages, just so that everyone's clear. If I close a loan today on March 4th, my first payment would be April 4th, right? So
All right. I have looks like two almost identical questions as our last two here. I had a situation where a borrower was going to pay off a current HELOC with a figure HELOC, but was declined for position as the automated figure system did not realize we were paying that current second loan off. How do we go around this?
team, this is one of our favorite topics right now today. And so listen, number one, Kathy, please reach out to salessuccess@figure.com. Ring our bell on this. We want to jump into this file with you and maybe show you some tips and tricks on how to solve this. I want to share with you all that when you go in and you see an offer, and in the situation, this question's being asked, the offer came up in third lien position. And Kathy, you can give a thumbs up or clap or whatever if I'm spot on here. But you would have gotten an offer in third lien position, or maybe you didn't get an offer because the existing lien. If you got an offer, you need to select said offer. And it's at that point that the direct debt payoff screen pops up. It's when you go into that you then have to look at a list of debts. You may still not see the lien, but you may see a next button. And when you see that, you need to click on it. And that's where you'll see to pay off the existing second lien. And then underwriting right there in nanoseconds reruns the underwriting, putting your new offer in second lien position. This is oftentimes missed. In fact, Mike, Lando, Scott, would you say this is something we address all the time right now? Like, we see this a lot. So please reach out to us, Kathy, and we'll make sure that that's what's going on in your particular situation.
Mhm. Yeah, and Frederick right underneath that had pretty
Same
much an
question.
identical question. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. So, Frederick, please reach out to us and let's help you out with that and see if we can't find you a solution.
All right. And then how do we add the LOA personas?
You will have to check internally with your company to do that. We have sent instruction out to all of our points of contact with our partners, and they'll be able to navigate that. And again, if they have questions, just reach out to us and we can contact them on your behalf and say, hey, there's some interest from your sales team on adding LOA personas. Can we assist you with that? And we'll help.
All right. And that wraps it up.
Man, I think we're golden, even though I think, hey, team, you're going to have a few emails in the inbox. Let's make sure we jump on those,
Of course.
like you do, and especially on those IntelliDebt, lean payoffs things. Let's jump all over that and keep the feedback coming, everybody. This has been great. Thank you so much for attending. Any recommendations on a date to enter if a person is planning to sell a home but not listed yet? I don't have any recommendations on that. I really don't. I don't know. We could have a long debate about marketplace and how long it does or doesn't take to sell a home, but yeah. Oh,
Um,
Valencia asked the question, where can we find out more about IntelliDebt? Here's the answer. Resource Center. Get into the Resource Center.
If you're asking that question, please set up some time with one of us. We'll train you on it. Thank you.
Yeah. We will. We love those conversations, team. I don't mean to just drive you straight to the Resource Center, but there is information there. But we will, yes, schedule some time with you if you'd like as well.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I think that's about it. So, as a reminder, I will be sending out an email, if not today, sometime this week, that is going to have links to everything, including our YouTube. I will get that recording up once I get that processed and edited on YouTube. Including that, I'll give you as well some other helpful links that will be coming from our sales success inbox. So, you can always go ahead, reach out to us at salessuccess@figure.com. Email us, schedule time with us, anything like that. But with that, I think this is a wrap. So, everyone, have a great week, and we'll see you in another 2 weeks.
See you, everybody.